Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Untouchable, uncrushable. Down, face down. You know the routine.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pan and Zoom. I'm your host, Satie Gossett, where we talk to creatives about their craft, their journey, their big break, and any other picadillos that they can share with us. And tonight we have a very special guest, Mr. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. He's all the hyphens.
You got it in the right place.
all in the right place. We got actor, producer, writer, director, singer.
Yeah, man, I'm out of my mind, aren't I? I need medicine.
That's what you kind of need when you get into this business. And what we like to do is we like to talk about, your journey.
Something I'm going to say something real quick. You talk about the hyphen in my name.
Yes.
The hyphen is between Lawrence and Hilton, and not Hilton and Jacobs. But there is no hyphen in my name. When I first started as a young actor, I used to go by, I've been doing this 56 years, but I was 15 when I started. And I was Larry Jacobs, and when I decided to use my full name, they told me my name was too long for a marquee.
Okay.
So I just put a hyphen in there just to mess with people. So the hyphen keeps changing back, but it makes me laugh. It's my own private joke.
So we're here in Pan and Zoom, and we're hearing about one of the first original trolls.
Yeah, man.
The hyphen troll.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
It's cool.
And but that's some of the tricks of the trade. I'll tell you, it's like my dad, God rest the dead. Junior is not really Junior. It was just a stage name. He was always Lou Gossett.
Okay, yeah. I just know him that way too. Yeah, he's a brother Lou.
Yeah. But yeah, we wanted you on the show because we just wanted to hear your journey. Like, when did you catch the bug? What was like?
When did I lose my mind?
Yeah, when did you lose your mind? That's another way to put it.
I can tell you how it happened. I was a little kid. I was like maybe 8 or 7 or something. And my cousin, my family is originally from Santo Domingo, and by way of St. Thomas, which is where my older brothers and my sisters were born and raised. Anyway, my cousin Sonny had come up to stay with us, and he had a singing group called Sonny and the Isles. And when I saw the resume picture, I was like, we got a star in my house, and I was tripping like that. So that kind of got me flavored into it. But I don't know, even as a little kid, when I was in elementary school, I was always putting on puppet shows. I was into my ventriloquist dolls and all that. Then I found that I could be a producer because I could charge a penny for people to see my performance. You can get 2 for a penny back in that day in the early 60s. So if I made 30 cents, man, I was rich. So yeah, man.
Wow, you're the original MGM.
I'm telling you, man, Larry Gem. I've been at it for a long stretch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So once you kind of got that feeling, you said, okay, where do I learn how to get better at this? Did you study somewhere? Because I looked in your bio and I saw like the Negro Ensemble as one place.
I was with both. I was with the Alpha and Theatrical Ensemble first up in Harlem in the basement of the St. Philip's Church, which was a part of a government-funded thing that came out of it. It was called How You Act, and Ron O'Neill was there and those kind of people just before teaching. And then I came along. And then when I left there, I went down to the Negro Ensemble Company with my friend Anderson Johnson, who was my teacher. And I was down there for a while studying. And then, this is weird, I got into the actor's studio for 2 days, and...
Why only 2 days?
Well, because I had a film. The film happened to be Cooley High.
Okay.
So I had to see y'all later. But they let me...
That was quick.
Yeah, but they didn't even audition me. I mean, I walked in and they said, okay. I was like, because I thought it was a whole procedure to get in there.
Well, usually it is, but sometimes Kismet steps in.
Yeah, it was one of those days.
You want to talk about the process of being in Cooley Eye? Because it felt like a lot of you guys were just kind of playing yourselves.
Well, here's the real secret to method acting, because you hear that as which came out of the Stanislavski method and all that stuff, and definitely the actor studio and when they were called the group and all that. You always base it on yourself or your sensibilities first, because that's how you can understand it. Then from there you can create. So let's say if I'm reading a script right now and it's about, Larry's coming in to be with Satie, and it's gonna, they're doing a talk show and they're talking about the career. Okay, that's that. So I try to understand that. Then I can play it, and once I understand where it's going from, I can start creating and make it a character. So all of a sudden I can be this guy, and talk to you like that. Or I can say, yeah, man, this is the thing I do in my, you make it up, you make it work. But you start with your own basis of your own truth.
Your foundation.
Your foundation, and then you build on that, and then you create within that, in that confine. So it's an extension. It's extensions of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. And was there a lot of rehearsal Does it like do table reads?
This is low
or-
budget filmmaking. Back in the day, Michael Schultz directed. We had a $750,000 budget,
which is a lot.
which
still.
was, hey, to me it was million. They paid me $900 a week. I never made that much money in my life. I thought I was a millionaire. I was 21, just turned 21 back in 1975. I'm 70 now, and we had a read through, a couple of days of reading through, and so that kind of helped us. And Michael did an interesting thing. Whenever he went to the different locations for spotting, he took Glenn and I along, and some of the other actors, like Norman, who played Rob in the movie, and Stone, who played Stone in the movie, Rick Stone. We all went along, and I got to know them. So in a sense, we sort of had a relationship, kind of a feeling, but we were all theater actors. I mean, the only actors that were professional actors out of that whole movie, because everyone else they found was myself, Glenn, and Garrett Morris.
Yeah.
And we were used to, how you have to go get it now.
Yeah. Because I know, and
Sure.
I rewatched it too for this.
Really?
And
Yeah.
it kinda took, and it took me back, and it kind of harkened back to, coming of age films like The Inkwell, and also like Stand By Me too.
Oh yeah.
know?
Those came a little later, but that's the same kind of
But the same kind of
growing into who you are
pathos,
gonna be.
and coming of age and making the mistakes.
I tell you, Cooley High came out of it. I had done Claudine the year before, and that was that. And they had seen that movie, Michael Schultz and the producer Steve Krantz. So I didn't audition for Cooley High. I came in and met with them. It was the early days of putting you on tapes. It was in black and white, and it was on reel to reel.
But they
and all
could
that.
already kind of see what you can do based off of Claudine.
Well, not always. I mean, I'm a director, and I don't just always judge because somebody did this means they can do that. But you do have to meet with the person.
Yeah.
And when you meet with the person, you get a sensibility of who they might be as a person, or how they live, or what their life is about.
Sensibilities.
You get a sense, a feeling, and then you take the chance, because you trust the instincts. It's always that.
Yeah. I mean, you went on a nice little run. Before that, I wanted to talk to you about Eric Montez. What was your conversation?
Eric Monti.
Monty.
Eric
Yes.
Monti is just a real brilliant man. He's opinionated, brother.
I can see that. I mean, his journey is interesting to me.
Yeah, he came up,
Because he's from Chicago, right?
Huh? He's from Chicago, from the Cabrini Green projects, which we based the movie on. And Cooley High is a true story. That's his life story.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, except his character was called Reverend instead of Preach. And my character was Genghis Khan, but it became Cochise. We never knew why they changed the names to that, but they were. But but he came to Hollywood and was going through the struggles, and then he got involved through becoming a writer on the Jeffersons and Good Times and
then
things like that along the way.
I guess what happened, whether it's urban legend or actual fact, because
He told me a thing that was interesting on Cooley High. One of the times I was hanging out with Eric, and he says, Larry, I bet you don't know this about Cooley High. I said, I don't know what. He said, there's no story. And it really is not a linear narrative story. It's a bunch of adventures.
just little vignettes, yeah.
It's just, but you knew who we were.
Yes.
So that carried you through, which is a key to being any kind of an actor. You have to have a through line. For me, even as a director, when I work with actors, whatever scene we're in, I always let them know where we're coming from, where we are, and where we're going.
Yes.
So they can always have a through line. That's my whole approach.
Yeah, so you
even
can
as
have
an
that
actor.
magnetic pull to like what
It
you
gives you
need
somewhere to
from
come
scene
from.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because, Eric Monti, people like Sophia Stewart, and other people that have had issues with intellectual property.
Well, it's, you mentioned things like that, intellectual properties or any kind of ownership or percentage of anything owned. Once you have done you have a script or whatever you sell, you no longer own it because you have to sell the rights, and you may have a piece of that. But to be able to retain what's coming to you can be a tough go because there's a lot of other people involved, and some people get a little greedy, or they just don't care. And so Eric went through that, and eventually got a settlement out of it, but it kind of soured him in the business.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's a tough game.
But that's the game, as they call it.
It is
right?
the game. It's a tough game. It's you have to treat it like water out of a faucet. It's got to be that religious to you. And I tell young actors all the time. I said, I don't think anything's wrong with trying to be a performer, but it's a tough job. And you have to understand that it is a gig. You have to understand the structural parts of how it is as a business, as well as its artistic and all those merits. And then go have a life, man. When you get away from go off and go kiss the baby or your girlfriend, or go get that hamburger or whatever that makes you happy. But give yourself a break, so you don't have to be like this all the time and worried about an audition or I didn't get the part and all that baloney.
Yeah, have you seen that video with Bryan Cranston where he says, he was auditioning and just struggling through the auditions. Then he had a context shift, like, you know, my job is not to win the part. My job is to audition. That's my job.
No, your job is to win the part.
Yeah.
But, you know, but it's also part of the audition process. I think what he may be saying is that, you know, he found some way found a sentiment himself that said, I can do this. It's for this moment. This is what it's about, and then I can go away.
Yeah.
And, you know, and go and be a person.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what I found interesting. Years ago, myself and Glenn Turman were up for a Bernie Mac show or something like that, and Richard Lawson. We're all up there auditioning for it. And when we finished the audition, without even knowing, we all were taking a walk together. We just comfortably looked at the sides and just threw them in the trash, and we all went out and had lunch.
There you go.
You know, so you become an old vet, man. You know, after a while, you have to release it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go have some reality life. I love show business. I've been doing it almost 56 years now, which is a lifetime since I'm 15 years old. And I'm not quitting ever. But I enjoyed time with my family, all grandbabies and all that stuff, and go live, you know.
So would you consider Cooley High the quote-unquote big break, or?
You know, what was interesting with me, in those days when the movie came out, this is way before we had cable and video and DVD and cell phone, nothing existed. So movies would stay in the theater sometimes 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I did Claudine and Cooley High, but they were in the theater at the same time that I did Welcome Back Kotter. So they were all on top of each other. And that went on for almost 3 years.
So you were getting all kinds of exposure.
So it was like, each of them springboarded each other. Claudine was Cooley High, and Cooley High became what it became. And it was even a hit in New York City and for, you know, over the summer. But I was out here in LA doing Welcome Back Kotter. I had no idea what Cooley High was doing until I went back and like, whoa, you know.
That's amazing. I mean, you had quite the run out after 2 years out of the acting school. You know, Claudine, Cooley High, Welcome Back Kotter, Roots.
You know, it was an interesting time.
You
You
know.
know, when I came along to getting into film, acting, all that in the mostly the early '70s, you know, and stuff like that. There were still in the height of doing a lot of films that were themed blaxploitation.
Yeah.
I never did a blaxploitation movie, but I was in that era, so there was plenty of work. But also in New York City, where I'm from, and I was there then, theater was big, and it was well subscribed to. So you had many, if you did a play on 32nd Street and 7th Avenue on a second level, you know, story with only 3 chairs, which I did do, people showed up.
Yeah.
They would show up and come see your show. You know, I mean, I remember I was doing a play out here at some little raggedy theater, you know, and, you know, it was some obscure theater. But when I looked in the audience, Ron O'Neal was there. He said, I came to see you, brother. I said, wow. You know? So, you know, that was the world and so forth like that. And we got to keep growing.
Talk about your experience on Welcome Back Kotter, because it's a very interracial cast. You know, you have people like
interracial. I was the only brother on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, true, but you also had Hispanic characters. You had Travolta.
Yeah, you know,
You had,
Travolta was a good guy, and he still is. You know, Welcome Back Kotter is probably the most fun I've ever had in my life, because we were loose. We were all young guys together. John was on 20, I was 21. Ron and Bobby were like 24, 25, playing Epstein and Horshack. And so for the first year, the 4 of us was almost like it was one character, because we had depended on each other so much. But we would one up each other, but it was complementary. And we stayed close till this day. Recently, John was doing something for TCM for Pulp Fiction, and I told him I wanted to come out there to surprise him, because I had not seen him in 14 years.
I saw that video.
Yeah, and when you could see the genuineness in it, and both of us, we were like,
It's like you never left, right?
yeah, old brothers, man. You know, that was a relationship. We had a lot of fun. We were very, you know, loose on that show, and it was just a nice moment. But the experience of it was great. I cherish it, you know, till this day. When I see some young kids looking at Welcome Back Kotter because they see it on whatever they see it on, it blows my mind. You know, and they're laughing at it wholeheartedly. It blows my mind.
The staying power just is a testament to your work.
You know, I saw it recently, and because it's funny when you do these things, you don't look at your stuff. Oh, I don't. But you know, I have acting students, so they want to see Welcome Back Kotter, so I showed it to them. And when I was watching it, and I said, you know, man, we were nuts. I mean, man, we were like loose and crazy and not afraid at all, man. And just having a ball.
Was there any improv allowed?
Oh yeah, you know. Okay. I mean, the show was structured, and you know, we had to do that. But it was a different way now. What they do a lot of sitcoms now is they'll pre-tape and so forth, and they'll put the canned laughter. We did it for 2 different audiences. We had a 5:30 audience. We used to call it the out-of-town tryouts. You know, then we'd have a break, and then for dinner, then we get notes. Then we come back with another audience and do the 8 o'clock show, and then when that show was over, we do pickups. So things happen in its moment, where you know how to play the laughter, and the laughter was now. It wasn't canned.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So very exciting.
Did you often feel the latter show was tighter because you kind of learned from anything?
It was just an extension of us being theater actors, coming from theater, and doing a performance and having to be there. And you have to think on your feet sometimes. You have to think in the moment. So in the moment when it would happen, you just knew, But I mean, when you feel the rhythm of the audience, it's like riding a slope. You can feel the dynamics, so you know how to play it, man.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's the truth, I'm telling you. That's the truth.
You heard it first, Pan and Zoom. It's the truth.
I heard it second.
Double truth. Ruth, as they say in the Spike Lee films.
Yeah.
So how do you feel your acting translated to your writing and directing? Because you've done a lot of writing and directing as well.
Yeah, it's just another part of who we are. I came up in the time when you did everything as an actor. I'm part of the old school with the younger part of the old school into the new school. Because when I was around, the traditional people were there, the James Earl Joneses and the Yaphet Kottos, and I saw them all the time. And I used to see this guy walking up and down the streets. When I was a kid, thought he was a bum. I didn't know it was Morgan Freeman until a few years later. And so, that was part of the culture, how it was. And you start to get into it. And I did a lot of play readings, in those days in somebody's apartment, and I was the kid, 16 years old, hanging out there with these gods and goddesses. But it just extends itself naturally. I've always, I draw, and I've been drawing all my life, so that's my outlet. I learned to do it in writing, which I enjoy, and eventually got into just another extension, becoming a director or a producer.
When you started writing, did you obviously read a lot of scripts and say, oh, hey, I can do that? Or?
Yeah, my first script was a play by Reginald Vell Johnson.
Oh.
He wrote it called Section D.
Okay.
And he let me have the rights to it, and it's the worst script written in history. I tried to put everything in it. It was like 160 something pages. It was ridiculous. But
it was fun.
But I had to learn.
Yeah.
And those are the days we had a typewriter. There was no computers, man. It was whiteout and typewriting. And so you learn, you learn how to be about structure, how to put things in that they're going to keep the story moving, as well as even as an actor. When I'm approaching something, I don't need to do a lot of fancy or just a lot of distracting things that's not about what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So you stay honest in the moment, and I've learned that as a writer. But I love it. I like writing. I like working on writing something where I can have people do it, because I still admire actors, because I'm an actor, can't help that. And I like to work with them, as I'm about to do some things now. So yeah.
You want to talk about those things? I know you said you're going to be directing some stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing. This is going to be a little. We're going to do 3 movies almost back to back, and one's called Family, one is called Panic, and the other one's called Max. Family is about a man who has 3 sons that he doesn't really know, because he's never been around. They barely know each other, and they meet at a desert diner to find out where you been, pops, and kiss my ass. Well, you ain't been around. So that's basically that coming. The other one, Panic, is a horror film where a guy escapes out of a insane asylum, and he's trying to get away, and he sees a house that he thinks is abandoned. So he goes in there to find out a crazy lady is living there, and she keeps him hostage because she wants him to marry her crazy granddaughter.
Oh.
I must have been on crack when I wrote it. And the third one is called Max, and Max is about a man who, for the first time, is going through senility, and he was a guy who worked all his life, and he's in his mid-70s, and he had been normal, and all of a sudden he has a heart attack. He starts getting memory losses. He has to be put in a nursing home, and we deal with the variables of what that does, which is a little. It's not autobiographical for me, but it was my mother went through that for 12 years.
Yeah.
So I felt that. I know what that's like.
That kind of led to my next question. Where do you generate these ideas?
They come differently. The idea of doing the family movie, which is a character-driven piece. There's only 6 characters. It takes place basically in one location, a desert diner, which we're going to build that set. And it was challenging, to be able to see if I can pull something off that I could do cost-effectively, still tell a story and not bore you to death, and so forth. And in 2 of the movies, I'm going to have Glenn Turman, and he's going to be in Family, and he's going to play the guy going senile. He might be senile, but and so it comes like that. And the horror film, I don't know. The ideas come differently sometimes.
Yeah.
I got inspired once. I wrote a film a few years ago called Little Bloodsuckers, which is about little kid vampires, but they're vicious. But what inspired it?
Did you go to a daycare or something?
No. I was riding down the street and I saw a big billboard for this show called True Blood.
Okay.
And I just looked, and then my imagination took it, because that's not what True Blood is about.
Right.
And it gave me the idea, and I said, well, we'll make it different. I said, well, we got some little kids who are looking for a vampire
little
dad.
vampires, okay.
But but when they, and I'm doing it real vicious, when they take you down, I mean, they're taking chunks out of you. It's not the old Dracula
They're like
days.
little piranhas or something.
Yeah,
right?
man, little crazy people.
Sometimes those are fun,
Yeah.
I like films that don't take themselves too seriously.
Something, you have to, it's a heightened part of life. It's not real life. It's an illusion of life, or an impression of life, or a realized reality.
Well, the escapism is why people go, because it's like, what if?
Yeah.
What if X, Y, Z ain't happened?
The key to anything in your life, is to keep, and I keep this in mind always, I don't care how much you write or how much you direct or whatever you do, remember it's entertainment.
Yes.
We're here to entertain, we're here to get that across within the confines, and you can do any story. I don't care if it's a horror film or a silly comedy or a coming of age story. Find a sincerity in it and tell the story, and keep it moving. And you don't need things in there that are not necessary, and we'll be all right.
Speaking of be all right, that song hit the Billboard in Cooley High. Do you want to talk about how you got roped into singing?
It wasn't me in singing. Which?
I think it was your character. If I read your
in Cooley High.
Yeah.
No, which song you talking about? In the movie?
In the movie, yeah.
Well, you know what happened?
You sang a little bit. I heard the pipes.
You know what happened? How did it happen? We were on the set, and we had one trailer, so we're all of us in one trailer, and we were sitting around waiting for them to set up, and we were running lines and all that as actors do. And I just got in the side, and I said, something. Guys used to always be on the corner doo-wopping and all that. I wrote it on the spot. And then they rehearsed it with me, and then we showed it to Michael, and Michael said, "Put it in."
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the height of collaboration.
Yeah, man.
And the thing I forgot too is that Boyz II Men, they named their album.
Yeah.
It's like I forgot about that, and they're singing "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye."
Hard to say goodbye, yeah.
And it's just amazing how art inspires art.
It's funny, I got to work with them too. When I was doing the movie on the Jacksons, An American Dream, they Motown was doing the music, so they were signed to Motown, so they gave them cameo parts in the movie. So
you
it was kind of cool.
Gotta go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Do you have favorite characters that you played over the course of your career? Like the character of Joe Jackson, who was inspired by obviously Joe Jackson. Did you confer with him in real life about how to portray him?
I knew Joe for many years, as I knew the family for many years, and was shocked that I mean not shocked, never knew I would be playing him. But it was kind of funny, and what I've learned, when you're playing a real person, you don't try to play it verbatim. You play the essence of who they're about.
Gotcha.
And then you let that develop into what it wants to be. Again, you start with your own sensibilities and you create and let it come out.
Yeah, like you said in the beginning.
And that's how it comes. So I think Joe was nervous about me playing him, because
say, don't play me too good.
Well, maybe so, or maybe because a friend of mine was working with him. His name is John Wilson, and he worked with Joe's management company. And because I'm a keyboard player, I used to play on all their demos. So I saw a lot going on, all the time. And so when it was for Larry to play Joe, it was like, wait a minute, but
he knows a little too much type thing.
But no, I'm an actor, and even after we had done the movie and we were doing interviews, and stuff like that, people had their own personal idea what the movie was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like the interviews.
You can't please everybody.
So, well, Michael's really this or Joe is that, and I'm like, well, yeah. Well, what do you think that when Joe did this to LaToya? I said, first of all, what he did with his daughter is his business and not mine, and certainly not yours.
Yeah.
I said, but I'm an actor playing a part. Let's talk about that.
Right. No. It's funny. I was reading an article about Raging Bull, and the real LaMotta saw De Niro playing him, and he said to his wife, "Was I really like that?" And she said,
worse.
"She said worse." Yeah,
worse.
She said worse.
That,
And sometimes
I mean, like let's even take with the Joe Jackson thing. The way they had written him in the script, which is the size of a phone book, it's a 5-hour movie. They had him almost one-dimensional. They had him being, just mean and all that. And I said, wait a minute. He made 9 babies. That took a lot of love to make 9 babies. So it couldn't be all that you were all that. So what I would do is every scene that we'd play over the years, because I played them from 20 to 54, and I was 38 when I did it, I put down why I love my kids, so I can find some levels to play with him, which is real, It
is real, because even like, your worst villain there's a pathos in them that's driving them to do what they do, whether it's out of fear or love.
Yeah, worst of all, they had a mother, they had a father.
You know,
they went to school. They cheated on a test. We do what we do in life. It's like we used to do this when I first started studying at the Al Fan Ensemble up in Harlem, and they would they would just put you in front of a microphone, and the whole class would be there to critique you, and they would give you a scenario. It says, "Okay, you're a bank teller," and somebody would try to be the bank teller, and he says, "No. You're not a bank, you're a person who is a bank teller."
Right.
So that's what you bring to it. Now you have a certain efficiency as you're doing your job and a certain protocol or whatever the facts are, but you but you can be a man who's got 4 kids or lives alone or is afraid of life or this is the only thing that you have to have something to decide on so you can play it so when you see it. So even in my early days as an actor in New York when I was just doing background and extras, because my first year and a half, that's all I did was background on movies all over, and I was happy to do it. But I would always try to make a character out of it and try to see if I can keep it going, although the director wasn't directing me, but that's how I
believe it or not, you can see when extras are being bad too. You see they stick out, it's like, what is they doing in the back?
Well, it's a different thing, in New York City, you're an actor, period. There was no Screen Actors Guild. You were in a Screen Actors Guild, and today you're an extra, and next day you had a part. Los Angeles has it separated, whereas Screen Extras Guild. So some people are just background players, not necessarily actors.
Right.
And so that makes it different. So I tell you, for me as a director, I talk to my background people. They always get a little shocked,
because they usually don't talk to us. What's going on?
I talk to them and I tell them what we're trying to achieve, and I thank them at the end of the day, and I tell them all the time. I said, look, man, my first year and a half. That's all I did.
I've been there too.
Yeah, man.
And then hovering by the craft service table. No, I'm just kidding. So we're getting to the end, but what we would like to ask is, any advice you can impart to any artist that wants to get into the business?
Yes, of course. And here's what it is, and it's real straight up for me. You have to be honest with you. We know our limitations. We know we're full of it. Let's just get real, but understand that it is a business, and there's going to be a certain protocol aplomb to make things happen. Nothing. It's like planting a tree. You plant the seed, but it doesn't grow overnight. You have to cultivate it. You have to learn how to allow it to grow, and if it's going to go this way to the sun, you have to learn how to roll with that. It's the same dynamic in living, or we raise kids. With both of us, we know how that is. No matter how much you think you know. You're still dying, because you have to learn it. But you must allow for that, or learn to allow for that. So if there's any simple way to say it, I said, be honest with your truth and where you're coming from. Procrastination is out. I just don't like it. Lying, I can't stand. I just don't. And don't lie to
So no fake it till you make it.
Well, there's no real such thing, to me as that. I mean, that's a nice saying, that came up a little while back. I said, shake it till you bake it, maybe.
Shake it till you bake it.
But fake it till you make it. What are you faking? You're
Right.
not fooling anybody.
Living your truth and have a life.
Living your truth, have a life, man, and keep it real.
Awesome. All right, we're out of time, but thank you again, Lawrence, for imparting us with your wisdom. Oop, oop, boom.
Oh, you got it all, man.
You got it all.
Man,
I try. I do my best.
Man, you did pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you again for joining us for another wonderful episode of Pan and Zoom. And until then, keep on filming.